meeting of Otter County Commission Board authorized.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll open up with public comment. Is there a public comment? Mike?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we were here a couple of months ago, or actually a half a year ago, getting a new ambulance. And one of the things we put in that new ambulance was one of those power lifts, and that helps load heavy patients. What we like to do is just kind of present a proposal for you and to request for funding for a power lift for the second ambulance that we have, which is about 10 years old. The ambulance crew spends a lot of time going out. Just Friday, they went out to Upper Garnet Creek when a cement truck rolled over. And then Saturday night, they were up at top of Avalanche, picking up 100 who broke his ankle. And Mary and Cyrus are here with us to talk about it. And we would like to ask for some PILT money funding for this. The ambulance crew is getting a little bit older. Average age is
54.
54. And the patients are getting bigger, and Cyrus will kind of fill you in on that. We just take about 5 minutes of your time.
So, just really quick right here. Just a review. This is what we were asking for again. Third one here. There might be, yep, there it is. On that proposal, there's two prices. One for current year, which actually they were able to extend for us up until December 24th. It will save about $1,000 if we order it by December 24th. What's not included there is about $1,500 install fee in that. But it does tremendously reduce back injuries. One service in Idaho, when they installed it, they went from 7 back injuries in 1 year down to 0. So it does take away a lot of lifting and is a back saver on that. So, and right now, because the other ambulance doesn't have it in it, it's not being used as much as it should. The new one with the power load is being used all the time. The reason people say it all the time is the other one doesn't have the power load system in it. So.
Question, if you would put this in the other ambulance and say, what's 10 years, or whatever it is, when they trade it off, could that system be used on the next one?
Yes.
So once you buy it,
You can move it from one to the other. Yeah.
The company would come out here and actually install it right here.
Yeah.
We need somebody that's trained.
They're factory trained to install it.
We know you won't make a decision today, but we kind of maybe give it some consideration, put it on the agenda if you have funding for it. That's about all I have. Any questions for us?
Do you know how far back are they? So that they can be delayed up to 9 months. Do you have any idea how far back ordered they are?
They actually, the reason why they're able to extend this year price is December 24th is because they have a large inventory, and so they are trying to offload them. So, but yeah, if we can order it and lock in the price, and they'll delay the shipping and invoicing of it up to 9 months.
You don't want to be that way.
We'd be wise to get this
Yeah.
as soon as possible. One back injury is
One,
well
yeah,
worth this.
one back injury can cost around $80,000.
Yeah. This is a small investment in.
How many
You
runs
guys
did you
do.
run last year?
We were at 413 runs last year. We're on track to be right around 400 this year.
You have a core group of about 5 EMTs that
Yeah.
do all the work, all the lifting. Now, we have a mutual aid agreement between the ambulance service, Broadwater Health Center ambulance service, and the rural fire department and the city fire department for lift assistance. But most of that's inside the building, upstairs, downstairs, getting large patients out of the building. But that's delayed before they get there. It takes time. And they're volunteers too. Sometimes we just do not have adequate volunteers. questions?
I just have one. Can we put this on the agenda for our next meeting and maybe have a discussion about our ambulance service? How it works for the community, how it's funded, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you, or 10
Thanks, you
minutes, or
guys.
5 minutes are up.
Is there another supplier, or are these people the only?
They're the only ones that make a system like that. There's another company that has just a cot itself, that the way it works, it will self-load. It has independent wheels on it, so one set of wheels will come up, and then you push it halfway and the other set will come up. But that's even, I didn't get price, but last I heard, it was about the same, if not more, than going with this system.
We have one of these now. We like to stay with the same brand, same system, because sometimes it's hard to figure out how to work those different systems. It might injure a patient, it might injure an employee. But sometimes we're out in the middle of the dark, county roads or highway accidents, it's hard to do. I go out with them a lot or respond when it's in my area. This is a volunteer. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, thank you. Bernadette?
In support of this, I know the ambulance had to come get my mom once, and, you know, they couldn't get her in the ambulance, and they were waiting for deputies to arrive to help. Well, my dad and Dan helped load her, but, you know, in those situations, if there aren't other men there, you know, if you have to sit and wait and the deputies are busy enough too, or another volunteer, and that was, I think there were the two women in the ambulance at the time, or I believe, I can't really remember, but I know they were trying to get a hold of a deputy to come help load her into the ambulance. So that's in support of that.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's true. And us ladies are tough.
Yeah, but, yeah.
There's, you know, but thank you for that support.
Oh, you bet. It's important.
Thank you, yeah.
Any other public comment? Tim?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just got a couple questions here. As you know, we've been working on trying to make sure that we help keep the people informed of what's going on with our local government. And the agenda has been, you know, in question quite a few times. One of the questions we have on the revised agenda that we have this morning is, when is the agenda even revised? Because a lot of people don't be on the email list to get that. If you have a posting late Friday, you know, the courthouse is closed, so we don't have a lot of information available to share with the public. Again, for example, at 10:45, and maybe I'm wrong here for talking about this because it is on the agenda, but CBDG or CDBG, I know what that means, but most people don't. The abbreviations and acronyms are really not misleading, but unable to follow. So here's where I'm at, and that way I don't take no more of your time. I'm going to use this as an example. This is an agenda from Missoula, and if you look at this, Mr. Chairman, and share that around, it talks about consent agenda, it talks about having information available to the people to comment, and everything in blue on that. And this particular meeting that they had scheduled was 16 pages long, which is a lot. But that's Missoula, they're a lot bigger, they got a lot more going on. But in this case, if somebody wanted to look at that agenda and understand really what's going on and be part of the process under Article 2, Sections 8 and 9, they would be able to look at them links, look at the history, which like I say is in blue, and it gives a real clear, I guess you could say, road to what's really going on at the meetings in advance rather than post. So, Mr. Chairman, we would really love to be able to continue pushing for a clear agenda so that the people know what's going on and we can help keep them informed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anything else? Jenny?
Jenny Klaus, the CFO of the Broadwater Health Center. I'm just here to give the quarterly update for the warrants investments that the county did through the district health center, or the hospital district, to the hospital. It was $750,000 was the original amount given. We're now, the warrants out invested are, the balance is $576,416 remaining to be called on. Again, these are investments that can be called at any time or sold. So there has been almost $200,000 paid on it at this point. We expect the full transition of this investment to be realized, the change in the reimbursement, the whole purpose of this bridge investment, to be realized in February. So can't wait to see that.
From Medicare.
For Medicare, yeah, that was the purpose of that. So I don't know if you want to give any updates about the hospital or maintenance or anything with mill levy?
So
We have.
we haven't done any more planning yet because we want to firm up what sort of dollars are going to be available for fixing the roof and replacement of the HVAC. It's still estimated somewhere around $250,000 to $300,000 by CTA Architects. We have discontinued our MRI service. It was coming once a week, went down to once every 2 weeks, and it's just a service until we can see more volume that we can't sustain, especially with the dollars going down steadily. We are excited about a plan it's called Aladon, who is a subsidiary of Mayo Clinic, who has worked with 5 of the hospitals in the surrounding area and Bozeman Health to, because we have a great skilled care and intermediate skilled care capability, we've worked with improving those skill sets and worked with the discharge managers of the Bozeman Hospital as well as the St. Pete's Hospital, but this is a contract that we've worked out with Bozeman Health. So if they can get a patient out sooner than later of the inpatient acute care into a skilled rehab center like ours, they will discharge that patient and we'll take care of that patient in the skilled facility. I think it's a great partnership working back and forth with Bozeman Health. It strengthens what we're already doing and improves our level of care and service to the people in Broward County. And there may be other admits to us. So we're excited about that. Along with that, we have a signed agreement with a full-time board-certified physical therapist in orthopedics. So there might be about 3 board-certified physical therapists in western Montana, and we're going to have one to join sometime in December with us. So we'll have a board-certified orthopedic physical therapist as well as an assistant as well. We're still going through evaluation of costs and expenses in order to cut back every way we can, but still provide existing services. The MRI took a hit on that. Any questions or comments?
Not for me.
Tim?
Mr. Chairman, just a real quick question for clarification. Does the change of moving into an agreement for the, I'll say the recovery care that you,
It's called skilled care.
Transition.
skilled care?
Yes.
Does that have any impact on the designation of the place as a critical care access?
So, critical access hospitals, CAH, are certified to provide intermediate, skilled, and acute care.
Okay, thank you.
Dwayne?
Yeah, I thought the hospital was supposed to get bids over to you for that roof 2-3 months ago. what seems to be the holdup on that? Lack of
Dollars.
dollars?
Dollars.
They already said they were gonna pay it. It just gets higher every time the longer we wait, the more it goes up.
Well, I believe that the issue that we had with that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, is that the engineering costs came in way above what we had budgeted to pay for engineering costs. So that doesn't even include the project, that's just the cost of the engineering for the project. So that's, you don't have money, and that was supposed to, I believe that was coming out of a grant through the hospital. So the cost of the engineering bid over exceeded the cost of the grant to do the engineering.
So in other words, just forget about it for another 10 years so that they can raise the price a bit more.
No, I don't think so. No, it's still being worked, or Dwayne, it's still being worked on. I mean, if you can't afford to hire the engineer, you can't get anything done to try to get the work done. Let's see, 10:15, we'll go to, do you have a COS, Bernadette? No. Okay, then we'll go to the, Springville Road issue.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here again on the Springville Road issue. I met with Corey Swanson and got his opinion. And he said he would try to be here if he could, but if not, to proceed without him. I made copies of the petition.
Thank you.
Again, and just to refresh your memories, the petition, the front page, was for Springville Lane and Springville Road. Specifically, it says both roads lead to Springville subdivision. And then the next page is the Board of Viewers that recommend the road notice Springville Road and Springville Lane to be approved. And the third page is the resolution that the road known as Springville Road and Springville Lane with the following meets and bounds be approved as county roads. The question was, because the resolution wasn't plural in roads, whether Springville Road was actually approved also at the same time. But meeting with Corey, the request was specifically for two roads. The reviewer's report lists both roads, and the resolution lists both roads, even though it's not plural. Also talking with Mary, she said that the county did plow to the mailboxes, which is in Springville. And I called Dana, and he said they've always maintained that road. So it was assumed that it's always been a county road. And I did maps just for clarification. When in blue, the road used to be right here before the resolution and before the request. So Springville Lane, or whichever, came through and went straight into Springville. This road came up from Indian Creek and veered through here and attached. So there were two roads. This resolution and the request was to approve Springville Road and Springville Lane with a new legal description because they wanted to come up, well, from the highway to here and then straight down the section line to abandon this portion. And so that's why the Springville Lane had a legal description, because it was going to be moving. So that's the way it was previously and what was abandoned at that time. Then later this was turned into Desert Drive, renamed to Desert Drive.
Was all that done prior to 87 or after? Do you know?
All of this is happening at 87, to abandon this, because that's the resolution here.
Oh, okay.
in December 1st.
Okay,
And then basically this is the way it is now. You can still see the remnants of that road on the aerial. So and now this is Desert Drive. And specifically, this is Springville Road and this is Springville Lane.
no wonder there's confusion,
Yes.
yeah.
And that's just another picture of that one, if you guys want anything. And then, like I said, we're talking to Dana. He said they have always maintained this road to this point here in Springville at the mailboxes. So Corey's suggestion was to just reiterate that this portion from Desert Drive to the town of Springville is indeed a county road. Just to put it in the books, because it's not, there's all of this information, but it wasn't listed, this portion was not listed in the county road books. And he said, he believes it is a county road. And he said, so the commission could just reiterate that, or if you felt more comfortable, we could go through the repetitioning process and petition this area for a county road and then go through that whole process. So he left that in your hands, but he said he believes that, this specifically says Springville Road and Springville Lane. But, so he puts that in your hands.
Bernadette, on the map, you said that Dana maintains the road all the way to the mailboxes, yet Corey said to reiterate that the county road is just to Springville. What about that portion of road there on Hope, right where Hope Street is?
Well, that is my next issue, or
Oh,
my
okay.
next thing,
Okay,
and I visited with Corey also, all of the roads in Springville, the county owns the dirt because it was created as a town site. The property lines do not go to the center line of the road, specifically like other, county roads per se. So this is the kind of situation in Raidersburg, Toston, where it's not incorporated, but it is a filed town site. So the county does own the dirt and the right-of-way, the roadway. So if a road was to be abandoned, the county could deed, half and half to the adjoining landowners and, get rid of it if they so choose.
okay, like we've done in Toston.
Right, right. So that issue is the exact same here in Springville. So yes, it is county-owned property.
Okay.
So, they're fine for maintaining it because they own it. But he said, whether you clarify that as a county road, it's a city street.
Okay,
So, where that definition would fall, I'm not sure. But it is county-owned property. Whether it's a county road per se, by definition, it's a city street. But, so, that again, he said to bring before you guys to, do you consider them, they're county owned, so would that be considered not necessarily county road, but would fall in the same definition as far as maintenance and what like a subdivider could do or a private landowner could or could not do on those streets? So that's my next question.
okay. So for your first question, you would
Mhm.
like us to make a determination about Springville Lane.
Road,
Is it road?
road,
Okay,
yes.
Springville
yes.
Road.
The Springville Lane is defined with a legal description in the resolution. It just says Springville Road and Springville Lane with this legal description. So on this area in blue of Springville Road.
In my opinion, it looks more like a typo, that the S is missing, but the name of the roads are both in here. You're right, it is on the road examiner's document. So I will move that we reaffirm that Springville Road is a county road per the minutes of December 1, 1987.
I agree with that. I'll second that.
So when we're declaring this, so we're declaring this to this point, right? We're not declaring this thing that goes to the mailbox.
That is
No,
correct.
Yeah, just the blue.
Just to this point, actually, right? Just to the town. is
Right,
what-
right.
So
'Cause
we're-
the city streets or the town streets will be a separate issue.
So we're not declaring this portion?
Well, it
Or
would
we
go
do-
to the, cause this is the, property boundary of Springville, so it runs to that point. To the blue.
So I'll amend my motion to incorporate the legal description that's probably in these minutes, all the way to the endpoint there that you just showed us on the map.
To its entrance of Springville.
Yeah,
So the developer split these, right? He has split these grounds, so is there, so
Yeah, these here.
when he takes access off that road, he has to put a culvert in there?
Correct. Yeah, he'll be, required to meet any requirements of working with the county road department. And approach permits and all paid for.
Okay. So you seconded it. Motion's been made and seconded to reaffirm the adoption and acceptance of Springville Road, Springville Lane as county roads. Is that the proper?
Mhm.
All in favor? Any other discussion, public comment? Seeing none, all in favor of said motion?
I,
Opposed, same, motion carries.
So then my next question, and again, if you guys want to keep these for one and the do you want the county road requirements to also be on the city or the town site street requirements? If that makes sense, you know, if whatever is required of county roads, if a landowner or developer uses any of these streets in Springville, would you want the requirements to be the same? I mean, do you want to put them in the same classification as county roads?
they already are, aren't they, like you said, because it is a recognized town site, they're already county roads from the point they were not, the town site was not incorporated, right?
Right. Be
Yeah.
just like Toston and Raidersburg.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think for consistency, we keep it the same. I think there's more requirements if they're just private roads than if they're county. But I think to keep things equitable from community to community to community, I think it's important to be equitable and have the same definitions
Right.
of the streets.
Yeah, and that's it, you know, the developer right now is either required to, if it was like a private road, they have to have it engineered and built and all. But if it's county, then a private individual can't develop a county road. So that's our main reasoning for this, is to know what a developer's responsibility would be, you know, in that situation. And you're right, if it's private, then yes, a developer would have to have it engineered and developed. If it's county road, there are different requirements. So that's where we're trying to figure out what the requirements will be.
Yeah.
Is there adequate room in here for what the county considers right away in here? For the way that this is laid out?
The city, yes, they are, I can tell you, I think they're 60 foot wide, the same as in Townsend or Toston. See if I got the town site in here. This map does not have it, but I believe they're 60 or 66 feet wide. And I don't have that here, but I know they're, like I said, they're 60 or 66. I just don't remember which.
So are these roads, are these roads all in?
No, no. You can kind of see from the aerial, I mean, the right-of-ways are there and nobody owns them, but not all the roads are in place. And I know Nicole is in the process of working with getting you know, exactly what the responsibilities of our landowner are when it falls on county property. Or county roads, either or. But a few of them are in, and a few of these main ones here are in and up to here. And then some coming down here and up and around. But none of these roads here in this area are in.
But the easements are solid.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the landowners only own, you know, within the blocks. They do not own any of this
So
right away.
is Sandpiper Drive the only road that's being used, or is just the only one that's?
It's the only one shown on here. The others are being used. There's Hope Drive. It just depends how close you zoom in on cadastral of what road names are shown. But they're, you know, Hope Drive and, oh, I can't think of all the names, but a lot of these have specific names. Oh, here we go. There's Spruce Street, Hogham Trail, Campbell Drive, College Street, Hope Street, Big Sky Drive. And I know Nicole was going to come down. Let's see here.
So the end of Springville Lane will be here,
Correct.
okay? Not to the mailboxes.
No, not the mailboxes, no, just to the entrance of Springville. And then once in Springville, those would be all streets. Yeah, I met with Wanda Watson, who had originally did the petition, and she said that after that, they came through and graded. But then I, you know, wanted to get county responses also,
Sure,
so I
Make it
called Ray.
official.
Yes.
yeah.
Tim?
Real quick question, can we be pretty well assured that since the original plating and creation of Springville, has any of these streets and or buildings that we've seen in the last 30 years gone beyond that original layout of that subdivision, if you will? You know what I'm asking?
No, you mean within the blocks themselves,
Well,
or the Springville and?
Spread out?
No,
No, has not been stayed within the bounds.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, the alleys I found had been abandoned or closed, but they were to remain for utility purposes and nothing could be built in them. I think that was just to avoid traffic or people driving, you know, building more roads through the alleys or something. I don't know, but they did, and I have copies of that, but They did close them, but they were,
Sounds like a halfway measure.
yes,
There's some like that on the south end of town, towns that are too.
right, there is. Yes. Yeah, that was in 1979. The Board of Commissioners had a hearing March 2nd, 1979, for the purpose of the closure of all alleys in the town site of Springville, reserving the right to utility easements in the alleys. As there were neither protests nor support voiced for the closure, the Board of Commissioners approved the closure.
All right.
So nothing can be built road-wise in the alleys.
Well, I will move to make it official that we recognize the roads in Springville as county roads, as it is an official town site. And that appears to be the way it is anyway.
I'll say, because it is an original town site, and that's the way all these others are, and I'll second it also.
Motion been made, seconded to recognize the roads in the town side of Springville as county roads. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but at least
Right.
we have clarification to proceed.
Exactly.
Tim?
The final question on that, several years ago, the county put a moratorium on adding new county roads to the road book. And even though these are considered county roads, does that have any impact on that moratorium, or has that moratorium been rescinded? Just a question.
I wouldn't think so, because it's, that's the way it's, like I say, Tosh and Raysburg, and I assume Winston the same way, I don't know anything about Winston.
Right, Winston also.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not adding,
it's not adding, they just call them streets instead of roads in these town sites.
County responsibility.
What's that?
Maybe the motion should read county responsibility rather than.
That's what changes, is it now the county's
Except we
responsibility?
don't have a legal requirement to maintain a road, correct me if I'm wrong.
right,
To maintain a county road. So I would hesitate to say responsibility with that in mind.
right.
So
Yeah, the
my
county
minutes-
accepts no responsibility
Okay.
to
Right.
maintain the county road.
Right, yeah,
You get to own them, but.
right. Which I think we already do.
Oh,
Basic.
yes, this is just for clarification so that, you know, it was those gray areas that, you know, you just want to make sure you're proceeding in the right direction.
And so that there's clarity for the public.
Correct. Yes, and exactly what the requirements will be through processes.
Right.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. And again, if any questions arise, don't hesitate to call me.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
We have a couple of minutes here, let's see, we need a motion to approve minutes of October 31st, 2018.
Also move to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second it.
Motion been made, seconded to approve minutes of October 31st, 2018, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just real quick, that was one of the reasons I brought that up earlier, is a lot of the people don't ever see the minutes before or after they're approved and what they're in there asking for them. So it would be helpful to be able to have those available to the public upon the final version, if you will. And that's what Missoula and many other cities do. Thank you.
I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 5th, 2018.
Move to approve as submitted, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made, seconded to approve minutes for November 5th, 2015, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. payroll claim in the total of $196,259.44. Is there a motion to approve?
I will. I move that we approve payroll in the amount of $196,259.44.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made, second to approve payroll claim in the set amount, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries.
Thank you.
Set of claims for the total of $101,293.48. Is there a motion to approve?
I will move that we pay the approved claims in the amount of $101,293.48.
Is there a second?
Is there, I'll second, is that for, the whole month, or is that just, or,
Counting period 11/18.
It's higher than usual because claims didn't get approved through the process while I was on vacation, so an awful lot piled up. So that's why the number's so high.
well, yeah, Mike approved claims right along, that's why I was wondering why it was so high, but any that come there.
Well, it
I
takes
think we
two,
had- Well, I
so,
think we had both our signatures on them, didn't we, Mike?
no, we didn't. There were 121, that's why the number's so high.
Is there a second then? Did you second?
I did.
Motion been made and second to pay claims in set amount, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. Another set of claims in the amount of $31,004.41. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve the claims in the amount of $31,004.41. Pay the approved claims in the amount.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve claims in set amount, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries.
What was that amount again, Mike?
$31,004.41. Move on to the 1045 CDBG request for proposal approval for decision.
So, Mr. Chairman, this one actually doesn't even need to be on the agenda as it is. We've already accepted it, we've already moved to apply for it. The only reason it's here is just to avoid anybody trying to derail the process. So what we need to do is put together an RFP and get that out. I finally talked to Maria at Department of Commerce last week, and she said regardless of the fact that we do not have a letter from legal yet on the CDBG contracts, they are all awarded, there's no issue there, it's just dotting Ts and crossing Is. So she said we can go ahead and complete the RFP and get that advertised so we can start getting the project worked on. So I was wondering how you wanted to handle the RFP.
What all is covered by this?
This is 3 things. 1 is the growth policy. 2 is an update to the CIP, which is a capital improvement program for the county. And 3 is updating the floodplain maps. So it's kind of been a long time coming. I think this is the 3rd attempt. And actually the reason that I'm hearing we got the CDBG, a lot of people were turned down, is because of the TED in the southern end of the county. There's a lot of people at Commerce pretty excited about that. Excited for the benefits it'll bring to our county as well as the state.
Could we have an explanation of that set of acronyms?
Yeah, these are things we've been discussing quite a bit in the last couple of meetings. So CDBG is actually what it's called, but it stands for Community Development Block Grants. RFP is a request for proposal, commonly used in business. TED is the Targeted Economic Development District, and I think that's all that we had. And we explained the CIP already.
Well, there's been a recent floodplain done down in the Jefferson there just a year or so ago, is that correct? You mentioned
This is
floodplain.
updating the maps, Franklin, so that people can read them. This is an application that was brought to us in 2016. So far, it's gotten 3-0 votes to this point. I'm not looking for a vote, I just want to know how we're going to proceed at this point, so that we can get this out and get applications coming in for somebody to put this together for us.
Do we need to put this request for proposal together, or do we have someone write it?
We have a template from Commerce,
That she
and I
sent
emailed
us.
it to you.
Okay,
But what we need to do is have somebody go in and put in, you know, Broadwater County and what our totals are and that kind of thing.
okay.
I didn't get any kind of response, so I didn't know what you wanted to do with that.
Can we have Nicole fill it in since it's part of her community development program?
I don't know that that would be,
Or do we need to have legal fill that
well, I think we should. I think we
Okay.
commissioners are well paid for putting in hours. I think this is on us to get it done. I don't mind doing it, some of it, but I think we need to share the load here. I'm happy to do it in conjunction with the rest of the commission.
in? Okay. Do we
I
have a
would
deadline
feel
on
we should be
this?
involved in that.
Yeah, it's absolutely, Franklin, but legal doesn't need to do,
I don't
The
believe we should be
infilling.
involved in any of that TED or any of that.
okay, our legal counsel is paid, what, $150 an hour? There is no reason why any one of us cannot fill in the blanks of this template that we have. We are already paid, and we're paid to do more than just show up Mondays for these meetings and go home.
I'm not talking about that, I think we should need to be involved in the whole thing there.
Well,
Just
we
like
already
CIP.
are involved. We've already accepted and been awarded the CDBG. So that's all I have. I'm not gonna argue this anymore. This was just put here so it wouldn't be derailed, and I'm not gonna be a part of letting it get derailed.
So
at this point.
we fill out that template and then we give it to Corey,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Corey, then we advertise it for proposals, right?
Correct. Now, it's already gone through Commerce Legal, so it may be that he just says, yeah, that's good.
Okay, I'll work with you. Yes, Tim?
Just a real quick question, if you would, Mr. Chairman. The CDBG grant is for X amount. How much money are we talking about? And because it is going to be targeted again at, as it has been in the past, for updating a growth policy, that does impact the people in the county. So is there going to be an outside process for public involvement in that RFP and how that moves forward?
Always, there's always a
Yeah,
public process.
There's a public comment in line with the outline of the procedure for that, yeah.
Because we haven't
Just-
seen that yet, so we're just curious.
In the past, we haven't updated the growth policy since 2003, and it's actually a legal document that can protect us against against something that could, a potential growth that's harmful to our county. If we have a growth policy that, the beauty of a growth policy is growth is coming, you can't stop it. But what we can do is direct it so that it complements Broadwater County rather than bulldozes over Broadwater County. So the growth policy helps with that. We determine who we are and who we want to be. And again, it hasn't been done since 2003, but the CIP was done in 2011, and that incorporated no less than 5 public meetings. So I assume this would be about the same.
Yeah.
Once more, Mr. Chairman, thank you. So what is the CDBG grant value at this, on this process right now that's been approved? Just for clarification.
I don't know, that letter of approval should be in our basket to be filed, so we'll need to find that so that we can put that in. It's been a while, so I just don't have it in the top of my memory.
Or again, trying to rush something through all the time and you don't have the information. And most of the information you put, I can't believe anyway.
Pardon me?
Okay,
Mr.
then I'll
Chairman?
infill,
I'll get
how's
that
that?
information to you.
Oh, thank you,
Dig it
sir.
out and get it to you.
One final point, Mr. Chairman, on the growth policy side of this,
Yeah,
if I may. Several meetings before this commission was in place, one of the things that were very concerning as far as growth policy processes across Montana was changing to a more, I guess you could say, restrictive growth policy program, which logging, mining, and grazing were very concerned about how growth policies had impacts on those resource development processes, and Broadwater County has always been on that front page. So that's why I asked again to make sure that we keep that in a public venue, if you will, so that the people, ranchers, loggers, miners, can be involved in that process to make sure that that policy doesn't get updated to be going the wrong way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's see, we will move on to this previously approved expenditures claim approval
Are we
process.
making a decision on this or not? It says decision here.
So me and Laura agreed that we were gonna go ahead and fill it out. Do the paperwork on it and take it to legal. So if we need to vote on it, we can make a motion on it if he wants to.
Yeah, I think it should be.
So do you want a motion on that?
Yes, I like answered that, yes.
So I guess we need a motion to approve the commissioners working together to go ahead with the process of filling out the CDBG RFP proposal. Is there such a motion?
I'm not gonna make it because it's not required. We've already approved, one, applying for the CDBG, and we've already accepted the CDBG. But if Franklin would like to go ahead and make a motion, he is more than welcome to do so.
My motion would be that the county stays out of it. That'll be my motion then. We shouldn't need to be involved in it.
Is there a second?
No,
Seeing no second, the motion dies, we'll move on with the proposal as decided prior. Okay, so we're going to the previously approved expenditure between claims approval process, Great West Engineering, MBAC, and BCDC decision.
so I added this to the agenda. I did talk to you about this, Mike. I think this is a great opportunity for some education. There was a lot of trying to stall our process, but I think that came from a place of just not understanding what the public process is. So we'll have a new commissioner coming on in January, so I think it's just an opportunity to bring everybody on board on the same page. So the budget process starts in the springtime, and it lasts about 5 months. In the spring, generally what we do is we go through the budget and we make votes at that time on what we will be doing for particular funds. Will there be an increase? Are we gonna fund this? What are the needs? And we work with the department heads on that. So there is an initial vote setting funds, and department heads know that that's the amount of money that they are going to have for the year. What they have is called budget authority. So they have a fund, and it's, say, worth $1,000. And they know that throughout the year, they have that $1,000, they have a budget authority to spend that money on what they will, in order to get their job done. They have to live within their means. There was the local government budgeting act that was supplied during the budget process at numerous meetings. So we had one vote specifically on economic development at that time. So then in August, MCA states that we will approve the budget. So in August, we did that. We had another vote, and in that vote, we approved the budget and all those other issues we had already voted on. So there's a redundancy here. There's 2 different sets of votes at minimum. So we did that. And the reason that the process is full of redundancies is so we can ensure public participation. There's more than one opportunity to give voice on any given issue. So the MBAC and BCDC claims specifically, since those are the ones pulled out, are subject to a claims policy that the commission signed and approved in a public meeting a few years ago. What happened prior to that is claims were brought to public meetings and they were going home. We also have several claims that have folks who have been to a doctor or to the hospital for a different reason, so we would be in violation of HIPAA if we brought those to a public meeting and disclosed that information. So those claims now stay in the accounting office where they are approved. Our policy, the commission policy, states that commissioners will, at least 2, initial all the claims on Mondays. If there's, and then for payment every other week. If there's a question on a claim, then our policy states we will bring those to a public meeting, ask the question, get clarity, and move forward from there. And that's what was done with the BCDC and the MBAC claims. They were all those expenditures, the budget authority was already approved twice before in public meetings. So there was nothing untold about what we had done in bringing that forward.